Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And there you go. We're off. We're running another brand new live edition of Talking Ball. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you. Hanging out on a chilly Tuesday morning once again. 7 o'clock, 45 degrees as you make your way into work, into school on a Tuesday. The countdown continues towards Alabama and Tennessee, the third Saturday in October. And I believe you got to go all the way back to 2003. Am I mistaken on that one? The last time Tennessee got a win inside Bryant-Denny Stadium, 2003?
Yep, it was 4th and 19, choke job. It was the only reason they won. Alabama couldn't make a 1st and 2 to show you how soft they were.
Mike Shula.
The Shula error.
Fatimus Maximus still on the sidelines for Tennessee at the time.
Yep, biggest rat ass in the history of coaching.
Ramsey Robinson, Kenneth Darby, I believe, all part of that Alabama squad.
That is correct.
See, I know a little bit. 256-576-4977. We'll hear from Josh Heupel. We'll hear from Nick Saban, Hugh Freeze, Lane Kiffin. We got a lot to get to because Saturday, a lot of intriguing matchups yet again in college football. And that is where we start on a Tuesday with college football. Hey, just remember, we're still in the midst of our 49 straight days of football. And once again, this is becoming I think they planned this because of everything going on, because Conference USA wants the attention.
Yeah.
They're back in action again tonight. Jacksonville State at home tonight, taking on Western Kentucky. 6:30 tonight on ESPNU. You get Western Kentucky and Jacksonville State. So Rich Rodriguez and the Jacksonville State Gamecocks back in action on a Tuesday. I believe this is the third Tuesday in a row for Jacksonville State. I know it's the second Tuesday in a row. But that's your college football for tonight. By the way, Middle Tennessee and Liberty are playing tonight as well. So that's your college football viewing options for Tuesday.
Well, they're doing that for Conference USA to get them some exposure because no one else is playing, except for right now the Phillies, who unfortunately won last night. That was disgusting. But the only good part about it was Craig Kimbrell got the save. So shout out to the Huntsville guy. He was able to shut it down in the 9th inning, but it's just tough to root for the Phillies.
They have the most home runs in a 3-game postseason span, do the Phillies, 12 in Major League Baseball history. Nick Castellanos last night joined Reggie Jackson in 1977 as the only players all time with 5 home runs in a 3-game span in a postseason. The Phillies now have won 10 straight home postseason games against National League opponents dating back to last year. That passes the 04-05 Cardinals for the most consecutive home playoff victories against a team's own league in Major League Baseball history. So there you go. The Phillies are hot down in the postseason stretch. So you got to give them. All right. Before we hear from Nick Saban, before we hear from Josh Heupel, we go out to the phone lines. Brandon's with us this morning. Good morning, Brandon.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I wanted to see, can we submit for a little bit of the show change idea?
Okay.
Boy.
Okay. So we do Moron of the Year, and I know Bailey's been with us, so I don't know if he's been keeping up with people we've nominated because we haven't really nominated people in a while, kind of a long list of people that could be added to it.
Yeah, we're down to almost 2 months. We got almost 2 months left before the Moron of the Year show. It's getting there.
Okay, so if you do something really stupid to get you nominated for Moron of the Year, does that mean you get a crystal ball?
Mario Cristobal is definitely in the moron of the year category, nomination list.
The way they lost that game, I don't think he's going to win it because that's one decision. But yeah,
he's in the running for. I mean, he would be a candidate for moron of the year. Easily.
But to name it after him, but I do get where Brandon's going here. It does make sense. I mean, with the last name and everything, the play on words.
Yes.
You know.
Oh, yeah. So when you do something really dumb, you get a Cristobal, so you get a point on the board.
Right.
Towards moron of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was thinking
who
about
would
that,
be your front runner right now for moron of the year? Who's your front runner?
I mean,
the Pac-12 commissioner.
Yeah, I would say that. I'd say whoever. I don't even know who the hell it is. I can't pronounce it.
Was Kliavkoff,
right? Or
yeah.
whatever for the Pac-2. Yeah, I would say the moron of the year for trying to put together a TV deal based upon Apple streaming or whatever the hell it was.
It was Apple streaming.
Yeah. I would say he's definitely up there for moron of the year. The Pac-12 commissioner, however the hell you say his name. And Philip Fulmer's always up for it.
Well, I would say him. I'm sorry to say this, but I'm going to have to give Brian Snicker one.
Yeah,
Messing with your batting order before the first game of your postseason series, not real smart.
Yeah.
Really not smart. So he gets the Cristobal for that one, for absolute sure. So I just didn't know if we wanted to adopt that. I figured I would call for a show vote and see what y'all think.
Well, I mean, for one bonehead decision, it can definitely be called a Cristobal.
Right.
You know, so I mean, I don't know, because I mean, but we could have already nicknamed the moron of the year trophy. We could have nicknamed it several things. We could have nicknamed it Biden, Fauci. Or we could have, easily there. I mean, those. I mean, hellfire. I mean, those
are Hall of Famers.
But they're not sports people, so
I
can understand, not doing that for a sports person. Yeah, I mean, it probably needs to be sports related.
All right, Brandon. Thanks for the phone. Thanks for the information, bud.
And Cristobal. I mean, calling it a Cristobal.
Us something to think about.
I mean, that's not a bad thing.
Right.
Well, I mean,
so it's October 17th. We'll do this on December 29th or something like that. So we're getting there. I gotta look at the calendar.
Well, I don't know because we'd probably be off then for the hopefully for the Hudson City Classic.
But we got to figure out in December. We'll figure out when. I mean, it's coming up. It's the last show we do of this year.
Right.
Whatever the date that'll be, that's when we do our Moron of the Year show.
Right.
Mark from Huntsville is with us. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Hey, morning. I was going to ask you about Scott Cochran over at Georgia. Is he still the special teams coordinator?
Yes, he's still on the staff.
Okay, I just didn't know. I've watched a few of the games, and I remember in Alabama, you couldn't help but see him. And I didn't know if he was up in the booth or is he on the sidelines.
I've seen him on the sidelines a couple of Georgia games. I think he's still on the sidelines.
Now, his title, according to Georgia football, is still special teams coordinator.
And the funny thing is, watching the Oregon-Washington game, which was the best game of the weekend, another former Bama guy who's part of the strength staff at Oregon, he was standing behind, Dan Lanning the whole game, Shawd Williams. So running back, had him on the show several years ago when he was in between jobs. But, yeah, man.
I sort of say it'd be neat one day. I don't know if any of us have time to do this. Sort of go back to 2007 when Saban got there, and you go and look at everyone that was under his staff. And at one point, I think we had Kirby and Lane Kiffin both on the staff at the same time. And coaching does matter. I mean, there's no question about that. But there's not that many Kirbys out there, and there's not that many Lane Kiffins out there. I think a lot of people, us as Tide fans, we think we just always kind of like Coach Saban said, you want us to crap out another player. Remember him saying that?
Yeah.
And he said, and I think as Tide fans, we want Coach Saban to crap out another, potential Hall of Fame coach like Kirby, I think Kirby will end up being one of the best also. So I just wanted to bring up Cochran. I liked him at Alabama. I know he had some issues that I hope he's got resolved, and
yes.
I was just wanted to ask about that. And lastly, on yesterday evening show, I called in and I made this statement, and Wes agreed, but Steve was about ready to. He said I was about to pull the morning show on me on this one. I said, the deep ball pass by Milroe,
Yeah.
if he's got time, is as good as Bryce Young. And Wes agreed, and Steve was about ready to blow up on me. What do you think?
I mean, he's a good deep ball thrower, but look, I guess you could say if Bryce had a weakness as a passer at times, he didn't have his deep ball. It wasn't consistent, but you can't compare the two as quarterbacks and passers. That's like comparing a Rolls Royce to a Pinto. I mean, I'm sorry.
Just in deep ball, though, if you're comparing them in deep ball, does Jalen Milroe have a better deep ball than Bryce Young?
I would still give me Bryce Young. I mean, I'd take Blake Sims over Milroe's deep ball. Blake Sims is a really good deep ball thrower.
Wow. So you'd put Milroe.
Milroe is a good deep ball thrower, but I wouldn't say great because he's missed on several as well. A lot of times they're jump balls, and I'm talking about Burton's made a lot of great leaping catches and kind
of bailed them out a little bit.
Yeah, and then it's not like he's made 2 or 3 where the receiver can run after the catch and score, but a lot of them they have to leap and catch it. I think he's a good deep ball thrower. I wouldn't say great.
Right.
And, I just, and of course, telling you how things get turned all around. I mean, somebody, I guess, heard Wes say that last night, and I got tweeted at, and that he was saying that he had more upside than Bryce Young. And I was just like, and I didn't. All I responded with was with an emoji, like with
scratching the face, kind of like puzzled,
and then just like bug eyes, like
yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, and then they're like, oh, wait a minute, that's not exactly. I said, okay, thank you for the clarification. There. I mean, I just
Well, how about this though? What I took away from that is that we have a reputation for ending people's conversations.
Yeah, never.
Let's go to Tony real fast. Good morning, Tony.
Hey, good morning, guys. I wanted to switch gears just for a second. We got area tournament tonight up to DAR for the DAR Patriots. I'm just so proud of those girls. Coach Broadway's got them in the top 5 in 4A.
Yep.
They are so fun to watch. So just wanted to give them a huge shout out, man. She is. I don't know if they've ever been ranked before, much less in the top 5. So. She's done a heck of a job up there.
She has, and she did a great job at Grissom for many, many years. And we were actually, Bandy and I were up there for the football game with Randolph and DAR on Friday night. Beautiful, facility, man. And I know that, I know Coach Davis is rebuilding the program, no doubt about it, and he'll get it rebuilt. Sure. They got some really good young 8th and 9th grade kids. But, no, it was a beautiful setting up there. And, yeah, man, I was talking to someone in the press box about, Coach Broadway, and she's doing a great job. I'm glad that she's been able to start the second chapter of her career there, and certainly is doing really, really well.
Yes, she is. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, area volleyball tournament's getting underway. Yep. And don't forget, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. We do our team of the week, and this is a great thing. It doesn't have to be football. If there's a volleyball team,
we have, because we've honored Westminster a couple times because they've won state championships.
Right, but I'm just saying that if a volleyball team, if they're great success,
Bob Jones, we honored them, then they end up nationally ranked.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be football. So if there's a great volleyball team and it has great success, give us a call, let us know, and we will put them in there for consideration for our Bryant Bank Team of the Week.
And we appreciate any nominations we get. We just have a certain, geographic area we have to stick with because of Bryant Bank. But we appreciate anybody that nominates any team. I mean, we always try to thank them for it. I know we had someone,
Albertville Band.
Albertville Band.
Which, by the way, I got to see when they came over to play Huntsville.
Yeah, they were. I saw that. They're always good, man. They're a machine. And
they were fantastic.
They were great. And we had somebody, message us and on social media about Haleyville football because they got a big win. And I thanked him for the nomination. And while we were just talking on the phone, we got another Moron of the Year nomination for Terry Fontenot, the general manager of the Atlanta Falcons, for drafting Desmond Ridder as his quarterback. and I did tell them, yeah, that works. He wanted to know if somebody like that would be eligible.
Everyone's eligible.
Yeah, everybody. I said it all works.
I mean, look, Jeff from the Borough has a permanent slot.
Oh, every year. You know,
All right.
he's never left out.
He's never left. All right, let's get our first break in. When we come back, we'll check in with Nick Saban and others. It's Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
She's got a wreck westbound coming off 72 onto 565 right around Maysville Road. That one's going to be a no injury. Got Newmarket and Mint Springs. That one's reported with injury. One at Spring and way through the woods in Decatur. Nobody hurt. And westbound 565 at Glen Hearn is off the road. Should not be causing a major traffic problem. Are you ready to be your best? QFit Sports Performance Training and Fitness can help. It's not a group program. It's intense one-on-one training at QFit Relentless, 256-497-9075. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Southern Fidelity Mortgage. Think of them as a loan for everyone, offering more products than anyone else and the guaranteed lowest rates and costs in town. Of the 2,000 loans that Southern Fidelity Mortgage has pre-approved over the last 10 years, all but one have closed. That's unprecedented in the banking business. For FHA, VA, rural development, and conventional mortgages, for the best mortgage experience in town, it's Southern Fidelity Mortgage.
Call Southern Fidelity Mortgage Company at 256-656-5936.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
At Bryant Bank, we believe your goals are worth chasing, and every step along the way is worth celebrating. From your hopes for the future to the challenges that keep you up at night, we're here for you. Bryant Bankers put care into action to help you live legendary by stepping up when you need us most and doing what's right even when no one is watching. Come experience a local bank whose people greet you by name and treat you like family. Bryant Bank, member FDIC.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
Want even more excitement on game day? It's time to get on Prize Picks, the best way to win big on fantasy sports. Here's how it works. Just pick 2 to 6 players and choose more or less on their stats. If you get them right, you could win up to 25 times your cash. It's quick and easy to make your picks, and with fast and safe deposits and withdrawals, Prize Picks is the place to play this season. Prize Picks has awesome weekly promotions, and they're the only daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, keeping you in the game even if one of your players goes down. Sweat it out. Watch your entry update in real time and continue the fun by making picks on second half and fourth quarter stats. Take your game day experience to the next level with Prize Picks. And right now, you go to prizepicks.com/primetime and use code primetime. Prize Picks is matching your first deposit up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/primetime with code primetime for a 100% deposit match. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for more details.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve. and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates, residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. A little hot-blooded there. At times, Nick Saban could be a little hot-blooded on the sidelines, mainly because of watching the offense sometimes go through its learning curves, if you will, especially when it comes to sacks. Alabama has allowed 31 sacks this season. That's 126th in the country. They've averaged 4.43, given up, I should say, 4.43 sacks a game. Yesterday, the coach, during his weekly press conference, was asked this.
Yes, Coach. I understand your stance on sacks, but I wonder if, and I hope I'm not going over the same ground, but 31 sacks so far this year, if that is concerning, and is that fixable at this time of the year?
Well, to the first part of your question, I would say, hell yeah. To the second part is, I do think we have guys that are capable. I think it goes back to that same attention to detail. I mean, there's little things like in certain protections, I know I have inside help. So why would I get beat outside? Does that make sense? So these are not all capability issues. You know, some of them are things that we could fix. You know, when we're sliding out to block 3-on-3 and the guy doesn't slide out to block the third guy and he runs in and sacks the quarterback, you know, that's a mental error. That's not a physical problem. So it's a combination of all those things that need to get cleaned up with better communication, better execution, and maybe the more knowledge and experience that we get, the more we'll be able to be more effective and consistent in those areas.
There you go, Nick Saban on the sacks.
I mean, he's right. I still say, I think it is officially 31. At least 13 or 14 are Milroe's fault, holding the ball too long. I mean, Pro Football Focus, I think that's who it was, came out with the how long, you know, the average of each SEC quarterback holds the football before he throws it, and by far Milroe held it the longest, 3.4 seconds. And on top of it, he doesn't run most of the time. So if you don't run, you know, 85, 90% of the time, and you hold it the longest, I mean, offensive linemen can't hold everybody out forever, okay? And so I just think, you know, the offensive line has struggled in some areas, especially at left tackle. There's no question about it. But the quarterback has to show better pocket presence, move up in the pocket, and if need be, take off, okay, and help out a little bit. I mean, I'm just I don't think the offensive line is as bad as people make it out to be, is all I'm saying. I think the quarterback's still a developing player.
Right.
He's raw. And then, you know, and you got two left tackles that are developing, and with him being a right-handed QB, it's, of course, you know, it is what it is. So that's your blind side. They made a lot of money off of that, even though Michael Orr didn't get enough of it, supposedly. That's another Moron of the Year nomination right there. Michael Orr.
There you go. But it goes to show you, though, that Alabama's been able to overcome. I mean, despite giving up 31 sacks, they've been able to overcome a lot of it and still come out on the right end of things in several occasions. And what a difference a year makes, because remember last year when we were previewing this game, one of the things that we were talking about was it was the Tennessee offensive line improved enough to withstand Alabama's pass rush, because the Tennessee offensive line a year and a half ago was very porous. I mean, it was like letting running water through. Tennessee going into this game against Alabama has only given up 9 sacks all year.
I mean, yeah,
I mean, it's just a different time. But I mean, now Alabama defensively, what is Alabama going to do defensively to disrupt Tennessee's offense?
Alabama's got by far the best defense, including better than Florida's, because Florida's has kind of been exposed since they started playing some folks. I mean, you know, they gave up 39 points to Beamer and the Gamecocks, and they got, you know, shredded by Devin Leary in Kentucky.
They got shredded by one guy, though, running the ball. Devin Leary didn't.
My man Ray, he'll probably be first round. I don't know if he'll be a first round pick.
Devin Leary didn't.
He'll probably be a first team All SEC player. I mean, you know, he had 300 yards. You know, and I think Devin threw for 80. But I mean, you know, but yeah, but I do think that certainly Alabama needs to get pressure on Milton, and Milton's a mobile guy. I mean, he can run. I think he's more of a willing runner than Milroe. And the only problem is I think Milroe's a better passer than Milton. I don't give a damn. You talk about somebody that can throw the ball. Everybody's talking about deep ball thrower. Milton can throw the ball 90 yards. But the only problem is it's not on target a lot of times. Now, it might be on target against Alabama, man. It just takes one game. Just takes one game. That's all it takes. But, I mean, he was 11 of 22 against Dirt Neck secondary, who couldn't cover a naked cheerleader.
So if you're going, I just had this vision of Josh Pate going to the Texas State Fair, playing all those games.
Yeah.
So if you're going to the fair and you're playing the game where you take the ball and the milk jug toss and you're trying to hit the milk jugs?
Yeah, but I thought that was the chicken game in Dallas.
Well, he was playing the chicken game, right? But it just spawned on me, though, like there's other games at the fair you can play.
Oh, you like the ring toss game.
So which quarterback would you take going to the fair? If you had to throw the ball and knock over the milk jugs,
I would take Milroe.
Milton or are you taking Milroe?
Milroe over Milton, man, all day long. Now, you give me Hendon and Bryce, I would take Bryce by a shade, but I love me some Hendon. I mean, that guy was a great player.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So I still think once he recovers from his injuries, he could become a starting quarterback in the NFL. I mean, for goodness sakes. I mean,
is Milton and Milroe much the same right now? I mean, are they just the way that they're –
there are a lot of similarities.
Right.
I think that Milroe probably is a little faster and is a better athlete, but, I mean, Joe Milton's got the strongest arm in America. But, again, that's not what it's all about. So I think that Milroe's had a better year than Joe Milton, though.
You think so?
Yeah. So far.
All right. I'll look at that. Let's look at that. Let's get a break in, though, first. When we come back, speaking of Jalen Milroe, he was asked about the struggles and how he's remained upbeat, how he's remained confident. We'll let you hear his answer when we return about that. Plus, we'll start looking ahead to Auburn and Ole Miss. Intrigue.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 60s. Some of us could actually see the lower 70s. Overall, a really fantastic day across the Tennessee Valley. We drop into the mid and upper 40s as we head into the overnight, early into your Wednesday morning. Plenty of sunshine on Wednesday afternoon. Temperatures a little more seasonal for this time of year. Highs climbing into the mid 70s. Dropping into the upper 40s, lower 50s as we head into the overnight, early Thursday morning. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Got a pretty good backup on Highway 20 in Decatur. That one's right around Nichols Aluminum. Got a no-injury wreck there they're trying to clear. Got one at Newmarket and Mint Springs that's reported with injury. Old Monrovia and Bishop Road reports as an injury type. Westbound at exit 21 on 565. That's going to be close to Maysville Road. That one is no injury as well. You get 2 pieces of hand-breaded juicy tender signature chicken and a buttermilk biscuit for $4.99 at Popeyes, University and Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
This is Wes Neighbors sitting here with Philip Love of not only Eagle Insulation, now he represents Eagle Companies. Eagle through the years have added several companies to help individuals or builders through their construction renovation process. Eagle is known to represent quality, efficiency, and professionalism. Philip, I know you do insulation, but do you do masonry?
We do.
Do you do grading, erosion control, and dirt hauled off?
We do.
Do you do afterpaint, which includes shower doors, mirrors, shelving blinds, and bath hardware?
Yes, we do, Wes.
Do you do landscaping and irrigation?
Yes, we do.
So basically, Eagle can help you all along your process of building your house or doing renovations. So do you do plumbing?
We do not, Wes, but we can find somebody to do it.
Just give them time. They'll be there. Anyway, call Eagle Insulation at
256-755-1556.
Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money. Call Eagle today.
Thanks, Wes.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, "If you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself."
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
The Huntsville Sports Commission is driven by you, driven by those with grit, determination, and a goal to succeed. This is why we do what we do. The Huntsville Sports Commission promotes an enhanced quality of life in the Huntsville area through sports. We work hard to make sure those who come to Huntsville to compete have all they need to be the best they can be. The Huntsville Sports Commission. We do sports. Find out more at huntsvillesports.org.
Next time you're online looking for landscaping inspiration, open Instagram and check out Southern Gent Landscaping. They can help make your yard your dream outdoor oasis. Southern Gent Landscaping can handle it all, from landscape maintenance and installation to irrigation and hardscapes, even AstroTurf. Turn your yard into a landscape you'll be proud to show off. Call Southern Gent Landscaping at 256-509-6088. 509-6088. Southern Gent Landscaping. Professional landscaping performed with satisfaction guaranteed.
Do you have discomfort in your legs? Varicose veins can affect not only how your legs look, but how they feel. Symptoms of varicose veins include pain, swelling, aching, heaviness, and fatigue. Dr. Tracy Lowry of Best Vein Care of Huntsville can diagnose and treat your varicose veins with the latest minimally invasive techniques. Diagnosis and treatment is covered by most insurances. Call 256-715-7151 to schedule your free screening. Go to bestveincarehuntsville.com.
What's better than 2 end-zone sports bars? 3 end-zone sports bars. And we have you covered with our original location on University across from Red Lobster, in Jones Valley on Cecil Ashburn near Carl T. Jones, and our newest location in the Midtown District on McMurtry Drive opposite the Target Plaza. All locations feature the NFL Sunday Ticket, Tuesday half-price burgers, and Wednesday $1 jumbo wings all day long. You're never far from the end zone. End Zone Sports Bar.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
You'll love the expanded wine selection at Liquor Express. From special occasion to everyday table wines, they've got what you need. Meet your friends at the largest tap wall in Alabama with 105 rotating selections. Then take home a growler full of your favorite or choose from our 1,000 canned or bottled beers. Need help stocking your bar or planning your party? Liquor Express has a knowledgeable, professional in-house staff that can assist you with anything from your bar to the planning of your special event. Visit liquorexpress.net for tasting specials, giveaways, and classes.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Listen each Friday to the Woody Anderson Ford High School Football Scoreboard Show, powered by the Huntsville Sports Commission on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Boy, we can just parlay all these little theme intros that we have into everything going on. Can't get no satisfaction. That was some more there. Bryce Young. Jalen Milroe is where I was going to go with this one. Jalen Milroe has gotten some satisfaction, but he's been the angst sometimes of some Alabama fans because, Drew, his performance is like a roller coaster sometimes. It's very good, and then all of a sudden it just comes screaming down, and it's down, and then it's up, and then it's down, and then it's up. And it might throw you for a loop or two and spin you around a little bit. He was asked yesterday about that, about the expectations. How does he handle the ups? How does he handle the downs? How does he handle the criticism? How does he handle everything?
I think the biggest thing is with the mindset of just approaching it just one play at a time, not losing focus. I think that's very key. Not to get too high, not to get too low. You have to be at the same position all throughout the game, whether it's good or bad. I think that's very key. Just to have the right mindset, the right approach. And then another thing too is that mistakes happen. Mistakes happen no matter who we are. We're not perfect. We're not perfect at all by any means. There's one person in this world that's ever perfect, is my Lord and Savior. And so we have to focus on that, And the biggest thing too is just everyone has mistakes, but we can all fix them. And so that's very key. That's what we're focusing on in the locker room, is that we all can get better. So I think that's very key.
There you go, Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, they can all get better. Absolutely. Everybody on the football team, every position. But, the most improvement needs to come from the offense and the quarterback and the offensive line. There needs to be more consistency. It wasn't a great game for the wide receiver core either, even though I think for the most part this season they've done their jobs. But as a unit, they have to get better. There's no doubt about it. And certainly they've got to, in every phase, they've got to cut out the stupid penalties that allowed Arkansas to get back in the game.
Josh Heupel, on the other side, was asked about what offensively his Vol squad, because right now Tennessee will come into this game with, I believe, the 6th best rushing attack in the country. I mean, Tennessee has rushed the ball very well this season. They've not passed the ball very well. They're only 88th in the stat line for passing this season, which is a far cry from last year. But here's Josh Heupel's response on what it's going to take to get a W in Tuscaloosa on Saturday from the offensive side.
I'm going to say this, and it's kind of on repeat from last week too. You got to have some efficiency in the run game. You get into long yardage situation, these guys are going to be able to pin their ears back and come after the quarterback. They're multiple in what they do. All 5 guys got to operate together in the run game, but you got to be in sync in your pass protections too, and you got to get the ball out on time. There's going to be a bunch of one-on-one matchups out on the outside. You got to go win some of those matchups and be accurate with the football. So it's going to take all 11. They all play a piece in what goes on in the run game and in the pass game too.
Well, Josh Heupel there talking about taking advantage of the one-on-one matchups when they get them, but also talking about the Alabama pressure that'll be coming their way on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's gonna be an old school game. I still think it's gonna come back down to which team can run the football the best, which team can slow the other's running game down. It's gonna and in the trenches and win the turnover battle, the plus minus, and then there'll be 2 or 3 big plays in the game, and it'll be which team makes those. I mean, that's what the keys are going to be for. To see if Alabama can bounce back and get a win over the Vols after last year's debacle, or if Tennessee can win 2 in a row for the first time since 03-04. So we'll see. I mean, there's no question about it that's what it's going to take. It's going to take Alabama's going to have to stop the run. See, that's with Hendon and how good he was last year. And man, he was tremendous. But the biggest reason Tennessee won is they ran the ball. And they ran the ball last week against Texas A&M, much better than Alabama did. So Alabama has got to stop the run. They've got to put the game in Joe Milton's hands. We'll see what kind of game Milton has. And then same way with that, I think that's what Tennessee's wanting to do to Alabama. They want to stop the run. They want to slow down McClellan and certainly Roydell, and then they want to put the game in Milroe's hands, just like A&M did. But A&M couldn't cover Alabama. Going into the season, Tennessee's secondary was thought to be a weak link. Right. And so we'll see if it still is. I still think there's some plays to be had for Alabama if they can give Milroe time and if he gets rid of the ball on time, and also to help out the running game if he's a willing runner. I still think Milroe using his legs is the next step for this offense becoming more consistent.
All right, so that's the Alabama-Tennessee matchup. We'll talk more about that as Wednesday and Thursday unfolds. But down on the plains on Saturday, Auburn returns back home. They get the Ole Miss Rebels. That also means Lane Kiffin comes back to Auburn. And it's kind of interesting because remember during the offseason, or before Hugh Freeze was hired, there was the feeling that the job at Auburn was Lane Kiffin's if he wanted it. Mm-hmm. No one ever really knows if Lane was officially offered the job, but we believe he was. We don't know how serious Lane contemplated coming to Auburn, but he is coming back to Auburn nonetheless on Saturday. One of the things that people were saying after Auburn's performance against LSU was that this Auburn team came out of the bye week, looked flat, looked like they weren't competing at times.
LSU had a lot to do with that because LSU's damn good.
Yes, they are. Well, Hugh Freeze yesterday talked a lot about that as well.
I think our team has competed hard in every game except for times the other night. And obviously when you say team, you're not saying that it's every individual. There's still some extraordinarily great efforts by certain individuals, but it seemed flat. It did, and but I don't. Again, you don't make too much of that in one particular game, so I don't think it's now. If we have 3 or 4 in a row that were flat, then it becomes a real issue. But for whatever reason, maybe it's the way we started on both offense and defense that we were shocked, and it seemed flat. But I haven't talked to the kids yet. And I'll see them this afternoon.
So let me ask you this. The last time we saw Auburn inside Jordan-Hare Stadium, they looked very impressive, and that was against Georgia. They go on the road at LSU, not great. They go to Texas A&M, not great.
Tough to play on the road, bro.
Right. So which Auburn team do you think we will get a glimpse of on Saturday? Is it going to be the competitive, fiery, nasty team we saw against Georgia that went toe-to-toe with the Bulldogs?
Oh, it'll be a better game. This one will be a better game. With Wild Turkey calling the signals. I mean, it's going to be a better game.
But Auburn has problems
But
offensively.
I will say this. I still expect Ole Miss to win.
Right.
Only because I just think that, unless Lane pulls a Lane, where he, goes brain dead, which he did against Alabama, and I didn't think they coached very well in that one. But then honestly, they had trouble with Arkansas too. So they're certainly not going to beat Auburn the way LSU did. I expect Auburn to play a very competitive game. But I would take Ole Miss just simply because I think they have the better quarterback. They have Quinshon Judkins. If Wild Turkey can make enough adjustments to stop the zone read and contain Auburn, and Auburn doesn't have a great outside people, I think this one will be a lot closer because it's in Jordan-Hare. Because there is a definite home field advantage there.
Right. Auburn
We've
tends to
seen
play
that.
a little different at home,
but I still like Ole Miss just simply because I think when you think about it, they're coming off of a bye as well. Sometimes that hurts you. But hopefully in Lane's case it won't. But I just think overall when you look at it, I think it's going to be a competitive game. And Auburn, look, I think they were embarrassed. I think that they're going to come back. And of course, crap. I said this about Kentucky last week. I said that they would bounce back, and I felt like they would win because A, it was at home, and B, because they didn't lose a heartbreaker like Missouri did. They got smashed.
Right.
Okay? And then they got up 14-0 and got outscored 38-7 the rest of the game. And so proving that they will never win an SEC championship in the modern era. So I'm just, come on. I'm gonna go with. Except this time, I'm not taking Auburn to win. I'm just taking Auburn to play a good game because I still think Ole Miss is the better team. But I still have doubts about Ole Miss's, defense, even though,
So you're looking at a 6.5 point spread for Ole Miss right now with an over-under of 56.5.
See, that's interesting. It's not even 60. So, and when you looked at it, Arkansas, and this game was at Ole Miss, Arkansas stayed in it, and it was 27-20, even though for the most part, Ole Miss controlled the game. And I expect probably a little bit of that in this Auburn game. I just think overall
they're thinking
that they're a better team.
More points are going to be scored down on the Plains Saturday than will be scored in Bryant-Denny
That
Stadium.
wouldn't surprise me.
48 is the over-under for Alabama and Tennessee.
Jackson Dart is a good quarterback.
Right.
But Auburn does not really know who their quarterback is. Would not even shock me if they started Robbie Ashford. Probably going to start Peyton Thorne, but it wouldn't shock me.
And Hugh Freeze said yesterday that he expects both quarterbacks to play.
Yeah, I was going to say he's going to play both guys.
Yeah.
So that's, so it doesn't really even matter who starts. So, but again, I just think overall, Auburn's still searching for their identity, and Ole Miss knows who they are. And they have a good offense. I don't completely trust Golding and probably never will, so I think Auburn can stay in it. But I just, you're talking about – and I haven't checked the spread. What's the spread in that game?
On which one?
Auburn, Ole Miss.
6.5.
Yeah, it's Ole Miss still 6.5, right?
6.5, yep, on the road.
That sounds about right. I would probably even go as far as to say it wouldn't surprise me if Auburn covered, and then it ends up being like a 27-23 type game. Because remember, it was 27-20 Arkansas and Ole Miss. So I think it's going to be a close game. I just expect Ole Miss to find a way to win.
I don't see Auburn covering.
So you think Auburn's going to get whipped like
Not
Kentucky
whipped.
got whipped?
I just don't think they're going to cover 6.5. I think it could be a 10.
No,
game.
that you're thinking that the road team's going to win by double digits, which is a rarity in the SEC.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. I don't know. Something is off there with this Auburn offense, and I don't know. I think they had a great game plan against Georgia. I thought they'd have a better game. I know LSU had a lot to do with it, but I thought they'd have a better game plan against LSU.
Well, I thought they would stay in it. I thought Auburn would cover. They were because LSU was a favorite. I thought it would be like a 31-23 type game,
a little bit. I guess
or a 34-27 type game.
Yeah.
I thought they would score more points, but LSU had a pretty decent game defensively, and Auburn they could not contain. Look, man, LSU's the best offense in the league. That's why.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're easily the
best offense in the country right now. They have over 3,800 yards of offense.
Yeah, I mean, they're as good as anyone. I mean, Jaden Daniels is a lot better player than Caleb overrated.
I'll give you that. Hey, it's 7:49. Let's get a break in. When we come back, hey, do you want to know who's going to be this week's 97.7 ESPN The Zone Bryant Bank Team of the Week? We'll let you know when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Our newest wreck is 72 in Brock Road. That's near Madison County High School. There's an overturned vehicle in that wreck, Old Monrovia and Bishop. That one's an injury type, and they're alternating traffic one lane to get around it. Got westbound on 565 at Maysville Road. That's exit 21. Nobody hurt. And we got Newmarket and Mint Springs as an injury type. Highway 20 near Nichols Aluminum in Decatur. That one's a no injury, but it's got a big traffic problem. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Slow down or move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeyes, Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
Since 1986, Full Moon Barbecue has been cooking quality meats low and slow over a hickory wood-fired pit. From ribs and wings, brisket, turkey, catfish, and sausage to the best butts in town. If you're planning a holiday or a birthday party, Full Moon has a large banquet room. And Full Moon is ready for your next catering or tailgate. Just call us and we'll take care of everything. 256-713-0070. Full Moon Barbecue on the Parkway next to Costco. The best little pork house in Alabama. If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go Higher and go Army.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. If you've been injured and need a lawyer right now, and pick up the phone to call, one you've seen on a billboard or on TV begging for your business, do you know who you really get?
I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. You want to talk to your lawyer. You don't want to reach a call center, not in some office 100 miles away. With the Lackey Law Firm, that never happens. My clients talk to me.
And me. I'm attorney Justin Lackey. We're the ones that you talk to. We're the ones that you meet with.
And we're the ones who handle your personal injury case. You want to talk to me? You just call me.
And we'll take care of it. You worry about getting well. We'll take care of the rest.
The Lackey Law Firm.
And I'll go you one better. If you can't come to us, we'll come to you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Each week, they lace it up. Each week, we'll present our Team of the Week.
Get in here! I got one thing to say.
So it's time for the Bryant Bank Team of the Week presentation.
That intro never gets old. Mainly because when we play that, we're honoring a local team with our 97.7 ESPN The Zone Bryant Bank Team of the Week. It means Bryant Bank is once again going to honor them with $500. We've said it along Bryant Bank. There's 2 locations here in Huntsville, one downtown, one on Bailey Cove. There's one in Athens now. Beautiful locations. And we tried to add it up, and it's over $20,000 they've given to local schools during our Team of the Week run. We could not do this without them, to be honest with you. They are a huge part of it. But it is time for us to name this week's winner. And when you go out and you secure a playoff berth, that is a good thing.
Yeah.
When you beat the team ahead of you in the region standings, that is a good thing.
It was coming off of a big win of their own.
Yes. All of those are good factors, and all of those will garner you Team of the Week attention.
It will. They're going to be on the road this week, too, for another big region game that has a lot of playoff implications, potentially even home playoff implications as far as to play at home. And they're in 6A Region 8. And our Team of the Week, presented by Bryant Bank, is the Buckhorn Bucks and Matt Patterson, who win 34-22 over the Lee Generals and Irving McGuire, who the week before had beaten Fort Payne 49-42, and now the Bucks travel to Fort Payne. If they get this win, very, very likely they're going to host a playoff game for the first time in many, many years. They're coming off of a playoff berth in his second year, and so this would be a back-to-back playoff berth for the Buckhorn Bucks. And as we said, even further validation for where this program is going if they could get this win on the road and end up with a home playoff game. So congratulations to Matt Patterson and the Buckhorn Bucks, who are this week's Bryant Bank ESPN 97.7 The Zone Team of the Week. And we'll be out there later this week to present you guys with a check from our great friends at Bryant Bank.
I am going through trying to find out when the last time they were at home for the playoffs.
Right.
And it looks like, I'm all the way through 2015. They didn't do it. We got 2014. They didn't do it. They had to play Hoover in those years, in 14 and 15. And in 13 they had to play Shades Valley. You go to 2010, it didn't happen.
I would have thought maybe during the Michael Jackson's run to the state championship game, but I don't know.
I think those were all on the road.
I mean, I did go to one of the playoff games where they beat
2005.
Athens.
They hosted Walker in the first round.
2005.
And then they hosted Russellville in the semifinals to get to Homewood in the championship game. So if I'm looking right, it's 2005 would have been their last home playoff game.
And that was the greatest team in Bucks history. And again, I was at that Athens playoff game. That was quite a performance they put on. And that Athens team the next year won state, Scott. So, you know, there was some good football being played. Michael Jackson did a great job. And Matt Patterson's trying to get them back to those salad days where they make long playoff runs. And certainly, as you said, it's been a long time since they opened, playoff competition at home.
Well, maybe the Bryant Bank Team of the Week will be something that'll give them a little bit of edge this Friday, because they have not beaten Fort Payne since 2005.
Yeah. Well, hey.
They haven't played them a lot, though.
Well, they haven't been in the same region that long.
Right.
So.
They've only played them 18, 19, and 22.
But you never know, man. They're 4-3 right now. You get that dub.
They've been close games, though.
And they got a chance to get a couple more before the regular season ends. They got a couple of matchups where they're going to have a good shot, and then they can secure their home playoff, potentially playoff date. I mean, this is a huge game coming up with Fort Payne, and it was a huge win last week. That was a great performance.
All right, Hour 2 coming up next.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Unlike other credit cards that decline sports betting transactions or treat them as a cash advance, the GBank Visa Signature Card can load directly to your favorite sportsbook apps. G.bank/VSiN.
The Texas Rangers are perfect in the postseason, 7-0 after beating the Astros 5-4 in Game 2 of the American League Division Series. Texas has a 2-0 advantage in the best of 7 as the series now shifts to Arlington for Game 3 on Wednesday. Max Scherzer gets the nod for Texas, while Christian Javier is going to be called upon for the Astros. Texas plus 106 on the money line. The Phillies took a 1-0 series lead in the National League Championship Series. They beat the Diamondbacks 5-3. They'll play Game 2 tonight. Arizona plus 148 on the money line. Get the latest lines and more at vsin.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
It is hour 2 of Talkin' Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you on a Tuesday morning. A Tuesday morning that only sees us sitting at 49 degrees. At 8 o'clock. Fall has come, and it has come fast in like 48 hours. It has arrived here in the Tennessee Valley. We kick off hour 2 by talking some more college football, this time kind of focusing it from the national perspective, especially from Big Ten country, where it appears that the Michigan Wolverines are as good as advertised right now because they are playing some great ball, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You got Ohio State cruising right along a little bit right now. So the Big Ten looks to be in good shape, the two powers. And there's a big one in the Big Ten this weekend as Penn State, Ohio State get ready to clash. And then you got everything else going on around the landscape.
You do, and we really may have three powers, and we're going to find out about that this weekend. And I'm sure our next guest is going to be there on Press Row. He does a great job covering college football nationally, and especially from a Big Ten perspective, because his landscape and his background is he lives in Columbus, Ohio. He's, of course, an Ohio U grad. He's very well versed in the Big Ten and the Pac-12 because of that long-term connection with the Rose Bowl, which is going away because it's just crazy that the Pac-12 is in its last year of existence. But they're having a great year, having one of their best years ever. But we're going to talk about that and more with the senior college football writer for the Sporting News, and that's Bill Bender, and he's been kind enough to join us once again on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Bill, you're with Drew and Scott in Huntsville, Alabama. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Bill, no doubt, man. It's been a little bit.
Yeah.
I know I caught up with you on the recruiting blitz a little bit, a few weeks ago, but this is a big game for the Big Ten this weekend. I'm really not sure yet what to think of Penn State, but we certainly are going to find out. We already know what Ohio State can do. They went to South Bend and won a classic, but this is another test for Ohio State, and I'd say pretty much the first big one for Penn State.
Yeah, it should be fun. I mean, the story with these Big Ten powers has been defense. 1, 2, 3 in scoring defense in the country, and varying levels of it. I've seen Ohio State where they were able to slow down Notre Dame. They're not giving up the big plays that they were giving up last year.
Yep.
Penn State has just burned through everybody they played. Michigan kind of separated a little bit, but they haven't played a ranked team yet. There's two ways to look at it. You can say, well, they haven't played anybody. Fair. But there's also something to be said when you're not playing great teams and you're still beating there has been no lapse in concentration. They're winning every game by 40 points. Pretty dominant by the Wolverines so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, then they get Michigan State this week. Michigan State is a team in flux, I guess you could say it. The best, I don't know how to describe what Michigan State is right now.
They're going to be fodder. They're going to get smashed.
Well, I just watching that game over the years, it might be tight at least for a while.
Yeah.
Because that's a weird in-state rivalry where weird things tend to happen.
Oh, I remember the drop punt. Oh.
Yeah, and emotions will be high after the tunnel altercation last year and everything
That's
that
true.
happened there. I do think Michigan will go there and win. I do think, but I think this will be their first kind of emotional test before they get into November when they play. They'll have to play Maryland and Penn State and Ohio State. It'll be a tough month.
Yeah, it will be. Now, I'll freely admit, Bill, I have not seen a lot of Penn State. I know they had a little trouble with Northwestern, but they pulled away methodically and won that game. What has impressed you the most about Penn State now that I know they had they had high expectations for their young quarterback coming in. He was heavily recruited. But talk about Penn State and how they've played so far.
They didn't have any problems with Iowa.
Well,
no, they're good. They're solid. They've got an NFL player on each field position group. Top 5 tackle in Olo Pashanu. 2 good running backs. This is their best team, I think, under Franklin. And I say I think because the team that had McSorley and Barkley and those guys was pretty good, the one that went to the Rose Bowl.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, somebody asked me earlier this week if there's more pressure on Ohio State or Michigan, and I think there's more pressure on Ohio State or Penn State, and I think there's more pressure on Penn State this week because of the record against the Buckeyes, because of what all the expectations coming into the season, and because this will be the first time guys like you probably really watch them, right? Because
correct,
it's the biggest game at noon. So this is and I'm not saying that in a bad way. This is
true.
The first time the entire country is going to have their eyes on the Nittany Lions.
And so that you mentioned pressure on Penn State. Is that pressure on James Franklin to win this ball game?
Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, all summer we were talking about 4-14 against Ohio State and Michigan. 4-14. His top record against top 10 opponents was awful until they beat Utah in the Rose Bowl. And that whole third wheel syndrome. And I'm trying to – you guys could probably do this better than me on – you get in the SEC and who's the third wheel in the SEC. Penn State's the third wheel behind Ohio State and Michigan, and they've got to prove that they can win this game. And I think that's a fair assessment of the state of the program. They haven't been to the playoff. They haven't been to the 14 playoff, and they've had some teams that were more than capable of doing that.
Yeah, they have, no doubt. And because, look, they had Micah Parsons. Franklin's been able to recruit. Franklin got great players to Vanderbilt, for crying out loud. He had back-to-back 9-win seasons there, so he certainly knows how to coach. But it's going to be ultimately, can he get over the hump? Don't forget, 3 years ago we were talking about Jim Harbaugh doing that, and now he's beat Ohio State 2 in a row.
Yeah, Michigan has played really well, and these games are going to be so dramatic because, again, I think it's going to be defensive. Back to when I was growing up, these games in the 1990s that are like 24-21, I think that's how it's going to feel on Saturday. That these quarterbacks, Drew, Aller, Ford, have combined for 1 interception all year. So all it takes is 1 or 2 turnovers. And, man, I've gotten this far into the segment, haven't even talked about Marvin Harrison.
Oh.
At the end of the day, he's the difference maker. He's the one that, at the end of the day, they're probably going to throw the ball to him.
Now, is he? He's truly a Heisman candidate, though, right? Just like I've talked. Now he's hurt. Of course, I probably cursed him with Brock Bowers because he's out for weeks for the ankle. I thought Bowers was a guy that should go to New York. Now he's injured, and I know Marvin's been banged up, but he certainly has stayed in the lineup. He's made big plays. He's truly a wide receiver that should be in New York.
Yes, yes. There's no doubt, and he's. Here's the thing. Our midseason All-Americans are coming out this month or this week. And what about Roma Dunes? What about Malik Neighbors? What about Luther Burden? Who do you leave off? We have to leave one of those guys off. And I'm going to take a lot of heat on Twitter for who we left off. But the other 3 are very good. There's 4 really good receivers. And, I think Malik Neighbors stands out to me at LSU. I mean, he can take over a football game too, and that's the depth at that position is great. I still think Marvin's the best of the bunch, but it doesn't downplay what those other guys have been able to do to this point.
Yeah, offensively, we touched on it a little bit, but down here in the SEC world, what do you make of LSU's offense this year and the numbers that they're putting up? We talk about the wide receivers for the Heisman, but how much should we be talking about Jaden Daniels in that same breath?
I mean, he's putting up huge numbers, and they've had to because their defense is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense, back seven, has been really awful in some spots. Now they've gotten it together a little bit, and I think they're still capable of winning the SEC West. But certainly, Jaden Daniels has been tremendous. If Michael Penix is the Heisman frontrunner right now, and I think he is, then Jaden's right there, with these numbers. It's kind of like a Lamar Jackson type season that he's having because his numbers are ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. They really are. We're talking to Bill Bender of the Sporting News. Does a great job covering national college football. Bill, I know I'm sure were glued to a television set watching the game, or I should have even asked you, or did you go out to the West Coast? I was glued to watching, and one of the reasons I stayed home last weekend is because I wanted to see that Oregon-Washington game. I had not seen either one of them play a full game. I wanted to see the entirety of it. I thought it was maybe the best college football game of the year thus far. I was very impressed with both teams. I thought both coaches kind of took some unnecessary gambles in a way, but the quarterback play was very high level. And I watched Bo Nix. I was fortunate to watch him come up through high school at two different places. That's the Bo Nix I saw in high school.
Yeah, it was a fun game, and obviously some fourth down calls that, I don't think they want them back because that's the style they're playing. But for all these arguing back and forth about whether to go for it on fourth down or not, Oregon absolutely should have taken points at the end of the half.
Yes.
In a game that's going to be decided. The other two, whatever, but the one at the end of the half stuck out to me. You take points. You always take points when you can take them, and I don't think on fourth down has to be all or nothing. There's a younger generation of football fans, and I'm going to sound like an old man here, and I'm 44. There's a younger generation that is like obsessed with going on forward on fourth down.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
they're obsessed with it.
Analytics.
And it's then they'll say it on analytics like that's a person that told them to do it, and it's some of the. As I will say, is like, okay, well, you want to think that way. Well, that's the difference between the college football playoff and the Holiday Bowl.
Right.
So you got to be okay
football.
with those consequences.
Yeah, I would agree, but certainly it was a high-level game, and it's still. I guess I'm still processing it, and I know you guys are going to be excited about it, but that it's going to be a future Big Ten game.
Yeah, the joke circulating around our neighborhood here in Big Ten country was if you flipped from Washington, Oregon, and then you flipped over to Iowa, Wisconsin, it must have looked like two different sports.
Look, I was watching that Iowa-Wisconsin game. I gave it about 5 minutes because I was like, okay, I wanted to see what the Hawks were going to do. And I turned it when it was 0-0 after the first quarter, and they were talking about like 20 yards of offense, and I was like, I'm done. I don't know. But I give Iowa credit. They are ugly on offense, but they still find a way, and they'll probably end up winning the West.
6-1. They won a game with 37 passing yards last week, and it was every bit as ugly as you can imagine. Yeah. Now, their defense is really good. So I saw a tweet yesterday that said he thinks Arkansas would win the Big Ten West, and I would not refute that. I think Arkansas would. I would say probably right. But that gives those other three such a bad name because I actually think Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State are all capable of winning the whole thing.
Oh, so
wow. Not just
Yeah, the entire. I mean, you would have to. We'll definitely know how good Penn State is after this week because they're going to the Shoe. Bill, I would assume that that most people think Ohio State's going to win this game, but there would have to be a scenario because we saw, honestly, Notre Dame should have beaten the Buckeyes. They did not. So what kind of shot does Penn State have to get this road win?
I mean, they got a chance. It'll be a very good game, and I think it comes down, like I said, the two quarterbacks have combined for one interception. Penn State's had their chances up here. Ohio State's not really running the ball the way they want to, or that we're accustomed to seeing. And
right.
I've been in two of these games where State really had a chance to win. So, and it comes down to Drew Aller. I tell people this all the time. When Ohio State doesn't lose at home often, it's kind of like Alabama. They don't lose at home often. When they do, it means, and this is so basic, but it means the other quarterback played lights out. So Drew Aller has to have a huge game. It's kind of like Quinn Ewers at Alabama earlier this year. He hasn't been that good every week, but against Alabama, he was that good.
Yeah, he was, and then Milroe was that good against Texas A&M. We'll see if he can do that the rest of the year. I mean, he has not, done that, and so that'll be the key for Alabama against Tennessee and then LSU. But I will say this. I still think there's a scenario because of the kind of year Florida State's having, and if Ole Miss ends up maybe being a 9-win team, if LSU runs the table, and I thought at one time they were the best team in the SEC, but then the defense just fell off the table. I know they played better last week, Bill, but I don't think LSU is completely out of the playoff conversation yet if they can get to Atlanta.
Right. And, it's going to be, guys, it's wide open, right? It's to me, Brock Bowers' injury has added another layer to the whole conversation because even up here, like some of my buddies are texting me feeling like Georgia's suddenly more gettable now. I mean, it is their best player. It's tough to see. It'll be interesting to see. Now, Georgia's still capable of winning it. And I think the good part of the rest of this season is that I could make a case for like 10 different teams to win the national title.
Right.
I haven't been able to do that at this point. Normally it's like 3.
Right.
And you know who else is in that conversation? I think the conversation would stop around Alabama and Texas. I still think they're capable of winning it. So the fact that I'm saying Alabama can still win it is a testament to what Nick Saban's been able to do, and a reminder that you never bury these guys. I tell people this all the time. When they lose, don't bury them. It's like a Halloween movie. They're going to come back. Trust me.
I mean, true. I mean, you mentioned 10 or 12 teams. I mean, the Pac-12 this year is in consider. I mean, we haven't even mentioned the Pac-12.
What a great year they're having.
They have had that drought of not getting to the playoffs, but Washington, Oregon, both of them still potentially could get in. It is very entertaining right now in college football.
I think Drew mentioned the Washington-Oregon game. I didn't go, but I was definitely glued to it as well. And with Ohio State, Penn State this weekend, that's the 4th top 10 showdown of the year. And there'll be more. I mean, you know what's great about this weekend is it's not just Ohio State, Penn State. It's Alabama, Tennessee's an elimination game.
Mm-hmm. That is.
Utah USC's an elimination game. That was the Pac-12 championship game last year. Duke is good.
Yes, that's how they played without Riley Leonard. Yes,
and they smacked NC State around. And so Duke, Riley Leonard back, could go down to Florida State and win. These are great. This 4 conferences, 4 games between ranked teams, plenty of drama this weekend, right at the midseason point, and I get excited about games like that. It'll be fun.
Is there a conference you think that's going to get left out?
Well, I mean, this is the old musical chairs of it. You know, when you have 5 conferences for 4 spots, yeah, somebody obviously will. But in terms of who, pretty wide open still. I mean, the Pac-12's been the best conference rank-wise.
Right.
But they could also cannibalize themselves out of the playoffs. And the ACC's been really good with Florida State, but, I mean, all it takes is Louisville had the weird Louisville loss last week. So all it takes is for North Carolina to get knocked off, and then the strength of that conference weakens. I think the Big 12, Texas and Oklahoma, better get back to that Big 12 championship game unscathed. So other than, I think the SEC and the Big 10 will get somebody in. And then the other three, it'll be a 2-for-3 type deal.
Well, and finally, Bill, and we're talking to Bill Bender's Sporting News, the Heisman race, is Caleb Williams out of it after the performance last week?
No, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be one of those things where I think he's going to have to be perfect the rest of the way. He's going to have to carry USC to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
We can give mulligans for bad performances, but that was a tough one against Notre Dame to watch them play that way and get beat that way. So I still think the Heisman race is fairly wide open. Penix is the leader right now. Marvin Harrison. I had Brock Bowers in it. I wrote that piece.
Me
last
too.
week, Bruce.
I cursed
it's my
him.
fault. I did too. So,
Yeah.
And then you can take it all the way down to like a guy like JJ, and if Michigan keeps doing what they're doing, he could absolutely get in the mix. So it's still pretty wide open to me.
Well, great stuff. Bill, we always enjoy catching up. Thank you for carving out some time for us, and let everybody know how to connect with your work and enjoy the game in your backyard at the Shoe, Ohio State, Penn State.
Yeah, I will, and it's good catching up with you guys. I'm at sportingnews.com, so starting a busy day with you guys. It's going to be busy days all the way through, but that's why we do what we do. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
At Bill Bender 92, everybody. Yep. Check him out.
Let's get a break in. When we come back, I'm going to ask a question that Bill asked during his thing. We'll ask it to you guys coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
That wreck at 72 and Brock Road's causing some major problems. It's on the westbound side, but it looks like it's slowing all the traffic down. Got Wilson and Oak in Decatur just reported as a no injury. Old Monrovia and Bishop has an overturned vehicle. That one reported injuries. Newmarket and Mint Springs also reported as an injury type. And we've got Highway 20 in Decatur near Nichols Aluminum, still trying to get that one all clear. The end of the year's coming. If you need temp admin or accounting help for special projects, Snelling can help. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane, Popeyes, Skywatch Traffic Center.
Work injuries happen in Alabama all the time, whether it's an accident at work, getting injured, lifting heavy objects, hurting your hands on a machine, or just performing the same movement over and over until your body breaks down. But when it happens, there's only one law firm to call in Alabama. That's Pond, Lehocky, Giordano. For personalized legal support, reach out to Pond Lehocky at 855-774-3838 or pondlehocky.com.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Hey folks, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford. It's hunting and tailgate season and time to get serious about an F-150. We've got nearly 140 to choose from, and without a doubt, one of the best F-150 values on the road today is our STX package. You get 290 hard-working horses mated to a 10-speed transmission that'll take you everywhere, from that tree stand to downtown Tuscaloosa. Body-colored bumpers, halogen headlamps, 20-inch machined aluminum wheels, and lots of tech, like a rear-view camera with dynamic hitch assist, which you boaters and RVers will love. A 2023 Woody Anderson Ford F-150 STX packs a punch, but it doesn't cost you a bunch. You can drive one for $474 a month. That's a 36-month lease with $51.66 due at signing, zero security deposit, just tax tag title, and your good credit. Offer ends October 31st. Call 539-9441 for complete details. Come test drive an F-150 STX today. Woody Anderson Ford, hope to see you soon.
The Huntsville Sports Commission is driven by you, driven by those with grit, determination, and a goal to succeed. This is why we do what we do. The Huntsville Sports Commission promotes an enhanced quality of life in the Huntsville area through sports. We work hard to make sure those who come to Huntsville to compete have all they need to be the best they can be. The Huntsville Sports Commission. We do sports. Find out more at huntsvillesports.org.
Looking for your next game day party destination? Well, think outside the box and kick back at Flosa Premier. And you may be thinking, isn't that the trampoline place? Of course it is. But it's also the one-stop spot for all things fun. And if kicking back with the boys to watch the game is your jam, then you're in the right spot. Jump or not, Flo tends to all ages, meaning while you sit back and watch the game, but little Jimmy's having the time of his life perfecting that front flip he most definitely wants to show you. You got this, Jimmy. So next time you think Flo, think fun for everyone.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey, Wes. Our company, Fleming Roofing and Restoration, specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10-plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
Well, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Great conversation there with Bill Bender from the Sporting News. And he asked, and he was talking about Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan.
Yeah.
And he said Penn State's they've perennially been third wheel to Ohio State and Michigan.
Yeah.
So, and he was like, okay, in the SEC, Alabama and Georgia right now, 1 and 2, right? Who would be the third wheel in the SEC?
I would say right now it'd be LSU, but I think LSU could potentially beat Alabama and Georgia. Okay, but
right.
I think
but perennial though, is it
perennial,
Alabama, LSU, and then Georgia being the third wheel?
No. Perennially, it's LSU because I know they've won it all in 7 and they won it all in 2003. But perennially, especially from the majority of Nick Saban's tenure, they're the third wheel because they haven't beat Alabama very much. Think about it.
But in the SEC as a whole.
Yeah, it's been Alabama, Georgia, and then LSU.
Well,
LSU.
What about Florida? Florida's got 2 now. I'm just saying, though. If we're talking about it,
That was a long time ago with a lot of laptops thrown out windows. That was their last time they won one was 2008. And they have not come close since then except for 2009 when Tebow cried. That's it.
Right.
They have not come close. They have not been in contention. They're not in contention this year either.
So if you look at it by divisions, then is it Alabama, LSU, and then who's the third wheel in the West?
Talking about
just
perennially
division-wise,
the third wheel. Alabama and LSU have dominated. Everybody knows that. They have won the SEC titles. They've been 1-2 in the division for really since 08. Now, even though Alabama even gave LSU a tough run in Saban's first year in 07, which kind of set the tone for what that was going to be and turn into. If you're asking me who the third wheel is, that's hard because it's just been a combination of teams. When you look at I'm looking at the Western Division right here.
Right.
Probably Auburn, because Auburn at least won a national championship in 2010, and then they played for another one in 13.
Right.
Okay, so you would have to say Auburn in my opinion, because it sure as hell ain't A&M, because they've never even sniffed the SEC championship.
No, they have not.
Propaganda said they almost made the playoff in 2020. But that was they lost Alabama by 30.
Right.
So again,
I'd say
it would have to be Auburn because they played for a couple of championships and they won one of them. So again, and then if you want to talk about the SEC East, it's been Georgia. Once Kirby kind of righted things by 17, they've been dominating the East.
Yes.
Now Florida did have a run, and then after that, it's just basically been a toilet. The SEC East hasn't been very good.
You could put Missouri in there because Missouri's more appearances.
Yeah, Missouri's got more than dirt in it.
Yeah.
They've got 2.
Got more appearances than Kentucky.
And so and And look, when you look at it, Florida, once it really hurt the SEC East once Florida fell off the table after Herb had the nerve medication breakdown, after Nick Saban beat the hell out of him a few times, and then he got caught doing other things. But still, seriously.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Right.
It's basically been a one-horse race in the SEC East for the last 6 or 7 years.
All right, let's get real fast. Let's get to LC real fast. Good morning, sir.
Morning, guys. Hey, love the show. I was on a boat a few years ago in the Nashville area with a bunch of friends, and there was a former Tennessee player on board with us, and he was showing me all the people on his phone, these athletes that I knew of, and he goes, check this out, man. He calls Johnny Majors, and it had to do with a charity golf tournament anyway, but he talks to him for a few minutes. He hands me the phone, so I'm sitting there listening to Johnny Majors talking about as fast as Jimbo Fisher, about this golf tournament, and the guy's just standing there smiling, or sitting there smiling, so I hand the phone back, and I like Johnny Majors. I really did. I know he was a Tennessee coach, but he got done so dirty when he was recovering from very serious surgery, and Philip Fulmer, who had filled in for him for a few games and had won some games, so they go ahead and let him have the head coaching job behind Johnny Majors' back, really. Fast forward a few years later, he thinks he's getting over on Alabama by hiring their defensive coordinator to be their head coach, which crashed and burned. Now, we know Jeremy Pruitt was a great defensive coordinator, but that whole thing, was a fiasco. Of course, they give him a goal watch and a slap on the back and fire Jeremy Pruitt, but I want you guys' take on this guy because, that's got to be motivation. I know these Alabama players probably don't know much about Fulmer, but the Alabama fan base sure does, and I'll hang up and listen, guys. Love the show.
Well, see, no, they don't. The current players don't know much about Fatimus Maximus at all.
Right.
He's, they didn't really even know much about him when he was the AD running it into the ground. I mean, he's a Teflon guy because he won a national championship, and because Chris Weinke got injured. Just like, I can say that Georgia was very fortunate that Alabama's wide receiver core was all had torn ACLs when they played him the second time. Fulmer was very fortunate. Well, first, he was fortunate for Clint Sterner, who I thought was a hell of a player, but for laying a ball on the ground when the Hogs had him beat in Neyland.
Yes.
And then for Chris Weinke getting hurt, and they had to face Marcus Outzen in the national championship game. So, again, Fulmer's one of the biggest scumbags in the history of college coaching and athletics overall.
And he's right. And he's right about how he got the job over Johnny Majors.
He totally – Majors, brought him back, brought him on the staff, and he, with the help of some boosters, helped get Johnny out of there. And Johnny was a class guy, a great coach. He won a national championship at Pitt, had one of the great teams in history. Did he win one at Tennessee? No, but he had some great football teams. But again, the thing about it is that I just think but as far as the current guys, no, they don't know much about it. Now, I would think that they would have taken personally what happened after the game last year and the atmosphere and just losing that game and what it felt like. I would think they'd be supremely motivated. But as far as, Philip Fulmer, only, people like myself, people like a lot of our listeners who grew up around this rivalry, they would know what kind of – that's where the vitriol comes from Fulmer. And it will always be there to a certain extent because, again, Fulmer has stayed around the program. He's always having to make himself be seen. Let's not forget, it was once again when he became the athletic director, it was another deal where he stabbed a guy in the back to get the job. So he's always done that throughout his entire professional career because he's not a good person.
Let's get a break in. Randy, I know you're holding, but we got to get a break in. Brett Norsworthy is on the other line. Just hold with us through the interview. We'll get to you. A lot more to come. Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A mostly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid and upper 60s. Some of us could actually see the lower 70s. Overall, a really fantastic day across the Tennessee Valley. We drop into the mid and upper 40s as we head into the overnight, early into your Wednesday morning. Plenty of sunshine on Wednesday afternoon. Temperatures a little more seasonal for this time of year. Highs climbing into the mid 70s. Dropping into the upper 40s, lower 50s as we head into the overnight, early Thursday morning. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
And a wreck in Decatur around Nichols Aluminum that turned out to be a no injury, but Highway 20 has been a parking lot there for a while. New Market and Mint Springs Road, that one had an injury involved. Old Monrovia and Bishop had an overturned vehicle with an injury. And our big problem has been westbound on 72 at Brock Road. That's near Madison County High School. That one has been affecting east and westbound traffic. Just got one at Wilson and Oak in Decatur. It's a no injury. Routine care to heart failure. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue have the expertise to care for all matters of the heart. Captain Nick in the North Parkway, Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at North Alabama Mortgage. Are you thinking about home improvements? Well, use your equity now and refi later. Or use your equity to eliminate consumer debt forever, then refi to a lower rate and shorter term when rates drop. North Alabama Mortgage can also help you if you're thinking about buying an investment property or a second home at the lake or the beach or in the mountains. We have great programs to make that happen. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Welcome back, talking about 97.7 ESPN Zone. Look, we've been focusing on Alabama, Tennessee. We also touched a little bit on Auburn and Ole Miss, and for good reason, because remember all the stuff that happened in the offseason. We kind of touched on it in hour number 1. Lane Kiffin supposedly getting an offer to come coach at Auburn. Seriously, unserious. Did he want it? Did he not want it? Was he just playing around? Now he's actually coming back to Auburn, but this time he'll be a visiting coach on the sidelines. Auburn coming off that game against LSU. Who knows what they're going to look like on Saturday? Boy, a lot to unpack there when talking Auburn, Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I still like the Rebels in this road game, pardon me. They've already beaten LSU. They have maybe the second best offense in the SEC. I certainly think they've been much more consistent than Alabama. I know Alabama beat Ole Miss, but again, I'm just talking about what I've seen out of their team and how consistent that they've been. And one of our favorite people is Brett Norsworthy. He is the host of Sports Time in Memphis, Tennessee on WHBQ from 3 to 6 every Monday through Friday with his co-host Bryant Dawkins. And we always enjoy catching up with him. He also does pre- and post-game for the Ole Miss Football Radio Network, and he's taking some time out to join us today and talk about the SEC and especially this matchup with Ole Miss traveling to Jordan-Hare Stadium. Brett, how are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Brett.
And Brett, since we last caught up, what a shootout win for the Rebels. in Oxford over the LSU Tigers. A huge bounce back from a very disappointing loss to Alabama, because I certainly thought that Ole Miss was going to beat Alabama that week. I thought Alabama was ripe for the picking. Ole Miss didn't get it done, was very, very disappointed, didn't hide that fact, but bounced back to outscore an elite offense in LSU, and now has been playing much better football, and now heading to Jordan-Hare Stadium, where weird things happen, but I like the Rebels here.
I do too Saturday, but it's going to be a tough game. I think the Vegas betting line's a little big, and just everybody kind of assuming that Ole Miss is going to win easily. We've only won twice there in the 21st century.
Right.
Only 2 wins at Auburn in the 21st century, and if we beat Auburn this week, it'll be back-to-back wins for the first time since 1951 and 52 in games played in Mobile and in Memphis.
Oof. That's quite a stat right there. Wow. That's a good one from Brett.
And Brett, there's a lot of history between this. You got Tommy Tuberville, who was at Ole Miss.
Both places.
Came over to Auburn. Hugh Freeze was at Ole Miss. Now he is at Auburn. There's a lot of history between the two teams.
The Lane Kiffin dalliance with Auburn.
Yeah, and that's the latest one. There's just a lot of connection there between the two.
Well, it is, and I hope it turns out like the first time Ole Miss played against Auburn after Tommy Tuberville left Ole Miss. That was 1999, and a 24-17 overtime win for Ole Miss. Like I said, it just hadn't been many wins on the Plains for Ole Miss. But there's a lot of connections. Senator Tuberville, he went on and did just fine, and Hugh Freeze is going to do just fine. There's never going to be a point in the year on third Saturday in October, the rest of the Hugh Freeze tenure at Auburn, where he has a quarterback with 4 touchdowns and passing and 4 touchdowns interceptions. This is the least best quarterback play he's ever going to have at Auburn. It's why I think you're going to see some Robbie Ashford Saturday in basic Wildcat, try to win one game strategy offense.
We talked about that earlier in the show, Brett. I wouldn't even be surprised if he started. Now, Hugh already said both would play, but I thought Ashford did some good things last week, and I know they had a rough one against LSU, but they're going to have to try to shorten this game and muddy it up.
They will, and that's not the Hugh Freeze offense that he's going to run in the future. But he's trying to win a game, and he's done a good job so far this year. I think Auburn's in the wheelhouse to come to the Liberty Bowl in Memphis, be the first time since 1984, and a lot of history with Auburn in Memphis at the Liberty Bowl since they were, and Ole Miss were the first 2 teams to play after that game moved south from the Northeast in 1965. But this Saturday, it's going to be tough for Auburn to generate a whole lot of offense. But Ole Miss hadn't played a 4-quarter game yet. It's been real good in spurts, but nothing approaching a 4-quarter masterpiece yet. And I'm hoping after the open day will really be sharp. Badly needed it. But
yes.
All the games have been much closer than the score indicated. That Arkansas game could have easily been lost. Even the Tulane game, the late scoop and score by Jay Nibbe really made that look like a larger margin. A real good last 8 minutes against Georgia Tech. That was a game most of the night. And in the LSU game, Ole Miss was down 9 with 5 minutes to play.
Yeah, 49-40. That's right. Yep.
And fortunate to win. And I've heard Ole Miss criticized by the reaction to that win, storming the field. Goalposts weren't ever coming down. Wasn't even attempted. But I want to remind people of the last 5 times Ole Miss has lost in Baton Rouge. 2 of the 5 times LSU has stormed the field. So I don't need LSU preaching to me about, what are y'all doing? Why are you celebrating like it's VE Day? Y'all celebrate when you beat us, and we celebrated when we beat LSU. And that win is already starting to hold up better now than it even did that night when the clock struck 0.
What does Ole Miss have to do to get Quinshon Judkins going? Only one game this year has he been above 100 yards rushing.
Got to block up front, no doubt about it, Scott. I mean, just that, and that was the LSU game. That was the best offensive line played all year. That was the first game that Caden Prescorn really contributed in, both as a safety valve, tight end, pass receiver, but also as a really a noted inline blocker. He can really block. He's committed to it. Great pad level, and Michael Trigg just would not. And now he's apart from the program, and wish him well. But Ole Miss will be fine without him. But it was the only night of the year that the offensive line really clicked, and I'm surprised in that because I didn't think this was a vaunted offensive line coming into the year, but I thought it would be really good to certainly more than serviceable, and it just was not before that LSU game and had a really tough day at Alabama when that was the poorest Ole Miss has played all year. And a great part of that was this is a really good Alabama defense.
It is, and no question about that. But this is an opportunity, though. If Ole Miss can get this game, and as you said, I've already said it would be under the spread. I thought Ole Miss would win, but Auburn would cover 27-23. But if they get it, they've got Vanderbilt in Oxford and then Texas A&M in Oxford, where they could potentially put the nail in the coffin of Jimbo Fisher. And that would set up a gargantuan game at Georgia. You don't want to get ahead of things, but the schedule coming off this bye week, Ole Miss has still got it. They're very much in this thing.
They are, Drew, and I've told friends, and I have stated, I'm not doing any dreaming. I'm not doing any future W's and L's until Saturday night at 10 o'clock if it's a win at Auburn. And I'm with you. I think the trading range for that game Saturday will be anywhere from 3 to 6 points, and it could even go lower than that. It could be around 21-17, 23-20, even lower. I think if it goes lower, that's to Auburn being at home to their benefit. Track meet is what Ole Miss prefers.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
So Auburn's offense has not been great. It's not been functioning at a high level. Ole Miss's defense has been, I don't know the word, okay to this point.
That's it. Just so.
Yeah, so how important is it then for the Rebels to come out with Pete Golding, who's coming back to the state of Alabama again? He's already been there once this year. And he's been to Auburn before. He knows Auburn. He knows how to handle them. How important is it for this Ole Miss Rebel defense then to come out and show something against an offense that hasn't been very good?
It's got to start up front on the defensive line. It's got to start with Cedric Johnson, who's been good this year, and Jared Ivey in the defensive line, the Georgia Tech transfer, and J.J. McGee. It's got to be very physical with that Auburn front and really stymieing the running game, and then try to make Peyton Thorne a pocket quarterback. And again, just you're going to look back in a few years at Auburn football at the first year of Hugh Freeze and not even recognize the quarterback play. One thing that has stood the test of time and was different in year one at Ole Miss and year one at Auburn for Coach Hugh Freeze, and I think he values this, and I think he would tell it, the difference in Bo Wallace versus Peyton Thorne. Bo Wallace was a really good college quarterback.
Yes, he was, just from Ask Alabama in 2014. There's no doubt about it, and I know he's a coach now, so Bo Wallace definitely had a good run under Hugh Freeze. I've got to ask you, you're a traditionalist and a historian. What do you think about this Alabama-Tennessee matchup? Alabama at home, I think I favor the Tide. I picked the Tide 29-20. I think the over-under's around 48. That's about right. I don't think it's going to be a super high-scoring game. Both defenses are good. Both quarterbacks are, I would just say, enigmatic is the best way to put it right now. And then Tennessee's running game has been better than I thought it would be this year. But how do you see Alabama-Tennessee?
Well, what are we going to get out of quarterback from Tennessee? Are we going to get Super Joe, or are we going to get mostly average Joe? And that's what he's been. Tennessee has underperformed from what I thought they would be this year, Drew. I had them in the SEC championship game.
That's right, you did. You had them winning it, yeah.
I had them winning the SEC championship game and going to the college football playoffs. They're not going to do any of that. And last week, that looked like a game that Johnny Majors was head coach and Doug Matthews was offensive coordinator in. That was a 80s grinded out Tennessee win. They'd love to have somebody like Andy Kelly or Heath Schuler at quarterback, because Joe Milton is just really average. And I think Josh Heupel, with that strategy last week, has admitted, I can't even fix Joe Milton.
Yeah, and I don't expect him to go to Nico Iamaleava. He hasn't played enough, just like Alabama. They went after the South Florida game. This year it's going to be Jalen Milroe, so there's going to be some ups and some downs, no doubt about it. And I was we were kind of having this debate too, and you would know, being a historian, would you say since maybe 2007, 2008, when Nick Saban came into this league, and then Kirby, of course, took over at Georgia, is the third wheel in the SEC LSU, or would you say it's Auburn? I would say LSU, and then Auburn number 4. What would you say?
I would say LSU, and a distant 4 would be Auburn. And where does Tennessee come in there since Nick Saban came into the league? He vaporized them.
Yeah.
And Saturday's game, I don't think it'll look like 2005 in Tuscaloosa when the final score
6-3,
and it was a great game. 17-17 in '93 was a great game at Legion Field. I was at both of those games. I don't think they're going to be that low scoring, but this is going to be this could look a whole lot like Gene Stallings versus Philip Fulmer Saturday.
Really?
And that was some grinded-out type games. I don't disagree with that, because I don't think the quarterback plays great, and I think both defenses are really good. I think Alabama, though, has the better defense and kicking game, Brett, and that's why I give them the edge.
I think first team to about 21 wins Saturday.
First team to 21. Well, great stuff from Brett Norsworthy. You can catch him from 3 to 6 Sports Time with Bryant Dawkins later this afternoon. He does an outstanding job, and, of course, he will be traveling to the Plains and doing pre- and post-game for the Ole Miss Football Radio Network. Brett, we always appreciate it. Thank you for the time.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Have a great week.
All right, Brett Norsworthy helping us wrap up that segment there. Let's get a break in. Tomorrow's headlines will wrap us all up when we return.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We're beginning to wind things down a bit. Our newest wreck was in Decatur, Wilson and Oak. That one came in as a no injury. Still may have some problems around 72 and Brock Road. That's near Madison County High School. That one has been affecting east and westbound traffic. Had an overturned vehicle on Old Monrovia at Bishop. That one turned out to be an injury type. And they had some big problems on Highway 20 in Decatur around Nichols Aluminum, trying to get that wreck cleared out of the way. It turned out to be a no injury, though. You get 2 pieces of hand-breaded, juicy, tender signature chicken and a buttermilk biscuit for $4.99 at Popeyes, University and Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Injuries at work happen all the time in Alabama. So do motor vehicle and slip and fall accidents. If you're hurt at work or injured in an accident, I want you to call my good friends at Pond Lehocky Giordano. That's Pond Lehocky, Alabama's injury law firm. They got your back just like they've got mine. For personalized legal support, reach out to Pond Lehocky at 855-774-3838 or pondlehocky.com.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com. If you work in a dangerous or logistically intense industry, you know good training can be a challenge. There are training costs, safety concerns, and difficulty replicating real-world scenarios. There's a better way used right now in the Army and in all our armed services to better prepare our heroes, and it's available to you in your organizations. Higher Echelon's Game Development Team is revolutionizing learning in military training, dangerous industry, STEM, and sports performance domains with cutting-edge virtual training that immerses you in lifelike scenarios without the cost and safety concerns for trainees. With Higher Echelon's game-based training, you'll experience realistic simulations, precision accuracy, and unparalleled safety. Higher Echelon founder Dr. Joe Ross is retired Army who played and later coached for the cadets and puts that experience to use. His team has been building cutting-edge virtual training environments for soldiers and clients for a decade. Higher Echelon, the name you can trust for advanced training solutions. Reach out at higherechelon.com to get your free consultation. Go higher and go Army.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that his mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you. And yes, we have filled your plate with plenty of college football the last hour and 54 minutes. But the preseason AP basketball poll did come out yesterday. Kansas tops the preseason rankings, followed by Duke, Purdue, Michigan State, Marquette. Those are your top 5. Tennessee checks in at 9, Arkansas 14, Texas A&M 15, Kentucky 16, Alabama checks in at number 25 in the preseason AP basketball poll. Auburn sitting just outside the AP poll. They're getting votes. They're sitting just outside the top 25.
Well, I'm looking forward. I'm headed down there tomorrow. It's going to be media day at the Highfalutin Hotel over there. It's a Bohemian Hotel in Mountain Brook.
You're going to highfalutin?
I'm going. I went last year.
You're going to have to pull out the fancy duds.
No. I'll be dressed for the occasion. But Nate Oates will be there. He'll be speaking at 1 o'clock, and then Bruce Pearl will be speaking a little after 3. So headed over there to hear from some of the SEC. Now, it'll start at 9 now. I mean, I think Todd Golden is the first coach going for the Florida Gators, and I know Rick Barnes is going early, but I won't be able to make it down there for that. But going to try to make it down for the 2 in-state coaches, and enjoyed it last year. There's a lot of, it's a 2-day event, really. It's the first day is for all the men's programs, and then the second day is for the women's. And so it's some great basketball and some great conversation, great folks, and certainly should be another great venue, and going to head over there tomorrow after the show.
Other teams that have found their way into the preseason poll. Florida Atlantic, remember that great run they had?
I mean, man, they almost played for the national title, man.
They're going to start the year ranked number 10.
I mean, I know San Diego State did, but you saw that game. I mean, Florida Atlantic nearly made the national championship game. They were special.
San Diego State will start 17th. Texas is 18th. Gonzaga's 11th. St. Mary's 23rd. Illinois 25.
You know, the Tide check in at 24, which is solid.
Yeah.
And the SEC is going to be really good, I think. So looking forward to hearing from some of those coaches. And congrats to Matt Patterson and the Buckhorn Bucks.
Jakari Lane, also preseason A-Sun all-team.
All A-Sun.
How about that?
He's a stud. He's an absolute baller, and we look forward to his sophomore season in Florence.
All right, that's going to do it. We've had enough fun.
Yes, we have.
And we'll talk more moron of the year candidates tomorrow, I guess.
We never have a bad time on this show.
Because, what is it? There's no rehearsals.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, proudly